Hey everybody, look at what arrived this morning. It's a Newegg box. First time in a long time since I've actually had a Newegg box arrive. Yes, it's the new parts for the MidTower Deluxe. So we're going to be doing an unboxing video tonight of the new parts for the MidTower Deluxe. Unfortunately, however, I don't have all the parts. There was a water pump I ordered off of eBay that was shipped, and it was supposed to arrive today. See, the Newegg box came through FedEx and it arrived early this morning, no problem at all. However, the water pump was shipped from the eBay seller out of New York using first class USPS. Well, it was out for delivery today, and guess what? It didn't arrive. Have a look at this tracking info. Oh yeah, delivery attempt, alright. Yeah, they never flipping showed up. Notice left? Yeah, bull crap. So yeah, the regular carrier, what happened was she had to get off of her route due to an emergency. And at that point, the substitute carriers were supposed to pick up and finish off the mail delivery. Well, the sub apparently who picked up our part of the mail route must not really care about his job. Yeah, our mail was not delivered. My parents' mail was not delivered. So yeah, notice left. No notice, no mail, no show. So, I guess then I'll get to show you the water pump. But we have the Newegg box. And next to MidTower Deluxe we have a brand new Raystorm Pro water block. So we'll be taking a look at that as well. Okay, so here's the big Newegg box. And opening it, I'll be using this Hawksbill knife in memory of Timmy Lee Payne. He gave me this knife years ago. Now, if you would know Timmy Lee Payne if you watched the video about the Plexi, the long video. Anyway, let's go and open this up. You know what? It's been many years since I've ordered from Newegg, for at least for the MidTower Deluxe. It's been 5 years. The hard drives I put in back in 2013. Those were actually from an eBay seller from Go Hard Drive. I just love how they label their boxes. Last flap to awesome. Jeez. Alrighty. Lots of airbags, yay. I may pop those on video here. Okay, so we should have a strong motherboard, MSI video card, AMD Ryzen 7 1700X CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 256 gig SSD. Here's our brand new CPU. Matter of fact, there it is in the box. We'll get a closer look at this stuff here in a moment. Here's the video card. Radeon RX 550. Our Western Digital Black PCIe. SATA M.2 2280. $16 gigs of RAM, G-Skill, and last but not least, the motherboard. The ASRock X370 Killer SLI/AC has built-in Wi-Fi, which I'm not going to use Wi-Fi. I'm going to, of course, have it hardwired, as you may know. But that's nice that they're including Wi-Fi built into desktop motherboards these days. I'm seeing it both in the enthusiast market and with OEM PCs. So we'll start out by opening up the motherboard box, shall we? And don't worry, we'll take a look at the water block here in a moment. This is what you get inside the box. Make sure you're seeing it. Oh yeah. You have this little bitty screw. It tells you how to install memory modules on AM4 motherboards. About the A-series APUs and the Ryzen CPUs. And it's interesting how now they're using one socket for the APUs and for the CPUs. It may be a little confusing to people who are kind of new to building computers, why the onboard video ports are not working when they have the Ryzen CPU installed. They use SATA cables. I think this here is, yeah, it's definitely an add-on of some sort. The I/O shield. I always can't stand installing these things. I've cut my fingers on them several times. I'm sure you may have too. Another screw. Wi-Fi antennas. Software setup guide, quick installation guide, driver CDs. They even included a case badge. And the motherboard. I decided to go with this one as the lower end model was not nearly as good at overclocking, not nearly as stable. Definitely a sweet looking motherboard. Kind of reminds me of the older days, like for example that Celio P4X400 Dragon Ultra board I have that's all silver. I've seen a few motherboards that were actually similar to that these days on the market. Let's get a closer look at ports. Got lots of expansion on this thing. I find it funny that they put the header for the water pump at the bottom of the board. That's going to be way out of the way compared to where the water pump's going to be in my system. It's going to be up on top of the machine. So that's kind of unfortunate, but oh well. Well, here's something interesting. I decided to take the motherboard out to get a closer look at it. Because, of course, you get a better view of it in person than you do on the freaking images on Newegg sometimes. Well, we do actually have a water pump header up top here. So, yeah, okay. Very good then. So you have one up top, and you have one down below. So it's like pick or choose. Very good. So I figured we may as well just going to get you a closer look at this board since I have it out of the bag. I'll tell you, it's a sweet looking motherboard. The only thing I'll have to give up though, however, will be the redneck external SATA hookup that I have on the MidTower Deluxe right now, where I just plug up SATA hard drives to a cable. This is a standard SATA cable that's actually sitting outside the case. I'll have to give that up, but like I mentioned, well, I didn't actually mention it, but of course, I do have that brand new USB 3.0 adapter, which it runs just about as good as SATA anyway. So I'm not upset there. So that's a very nice board, I have to tell you. And you see the Nichicon audio. It's funny, it actually has electrolytic Nichicon capacitors there. Obviously audio grade caps. It's been a while since I've seen Nichicon, well not Nichicon, but it's been a while since I've seen electrolytic caps on a motherboard. Well, I'm sure those are of decent quality, obviously. It'd be interesting to see if I even notice any difference in sound with this new board. Yeah, for those who are really into audio. But also, look here. We have steel PCI Express 16 slots. They say they're better for holding up the video cards, and also I think to help cancel out certain like interference, that, you know, all that good stuff. Anyways, there's socket AM4. Reminds me of socket 754 back in the day. It looks really similar to socket 754, except with a lot more pins. For example, somewhere back here I may have a socket 754 motherboard to show you. So yeah, again, socket AM4, socket 754. Definitely an awesome looking motherboard, like many of them are these days. Stick that back in here for now. I find it interesting this motherboard box didn't have any sort of tape to cut to open it. Okay, next we'll do, let's say we'll do the CPU. This particular CPU does not come with a heatsink fan, which you can really tell I'm real hurt about that. Because to be honest, I think most people who are buying a Ryzen CPU like this one are already going to have some sort of better cooling system anyway. Because let's be honest, the Phenom 2 965 and the FX 8120, both their heatsink fans got pretty much sent to the to storage and got used for other things. So essentially, you got this big open area where the heatsink fan would normally go, and you have your CPU and the case badge that comes with it. Nothing too special, and of course the big fat manual about the warranty and all that kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. So that's our CPU. Now for the video card, why not? Of course, you guys know I don't game. I'm primarily just doing video editing and stuff like that. Though I do like to have a powerful machine. I think this card would work fine for my needs anyway. So on the back they give you information about the card. It's got 4 gigabytes of GDDR5, 128-bit memory bus, output via DisplayPort, HDMI, or DLDVID. I mean, it's digital DVI. As I mentioned in a recent video, you cannot run VGA straight off of these newer cards. You have to have a special adapter cable to do so, I do believe. Like, for example, you can't just use, I have it over here, let's say this here is your DVI port on your new graphics card. If you plug in one of these little guys, had just simply adapt a VGA pinout to the, let's say, the analog pinouts on a DVI, for example, just for video cards that are compatible with putting a VGA output on their DVI port. If you pop in one of these on a newer graphics card like that, it's not going to work. So, just FYI, if you have any older monitors, or if you think that old VGA adapter is going to work. Anyways, this video card does not, let's see, does not require an external connection, power connection. So that's one less cable I'm going to have to deal with in the MidTower Deluxe, because the current video card that's in it now does require one 6-pin. And of course, in here you have the driver CD and the quick user's guide. Okay, so the RAM, that's pretty self-explanatory. You can see already. It's the F4 2400C, DDR4 2400. I'll tell you what, the price of memory these days is freaking through the roof. I probably would have got something a little faster if it wasn't so dang expensive. Anyways, because my plan is on going back later on and buying an additional 16 gigs to have a total of 32 gigabytes. You probably think, oh man, what you gonna do with 32 gigs of RAM? But my system sometimes does happen to max out 16 gigs. And I'm sure some of you guys see how many tabs I have open in Chrome sometimes, knowing that Chrome is such a resource hog. Maybe I should switch to Firefox. Well, in fact, the new Firefox Chrome is quite nice, though. I have to say that I do use it at work, and I also use it here at home too, as my second browser. Okay, now for the SSD. Now this motherboard, which I didn't put back in the box, but if I remember right, it has two places for these SSDs. One is a 2280 and the other is a SATA 600. And of course, the 2280 is going to be my primary OS installation drive, and the hard drives will remain exactly as they are in the MidTower Deluxe. So let's pop that back in there for now. I'm going to probably start on this upgrade as early as tomorrow. Okay, let me go grab the CPU water block so you can take a look at it. And last but not least, the water block. Now, you guys may be wondering, my plan was to reuse the existing block, the Heatkiller 3.0 LC. However, as I mentioned, getting the correct updated bracket for it would not be the easiest task, because Watercool I don't think is really located in the United States or located somewhere else in the world, and I don't think really many people are selling their stuff here in the United States right now. And I tried to actually drill new holes in the existing bracket, and this didn't quite work out. However, that block is still perfectly fine. I can reuse it on a socket AM2 or AM3 platform. So, that just give you a little clue. I do plan to reuse it. Where? Well, that's a good question. That might be a good idea. Anyways, and of course, if you didn't realize, I've already opened this up. I've already been inside here. And this is by far a much better quality block than what I had. I would expect this to actually cool a bit better. So here you have the mounting bracket, which just sits over the actual block itself. And one thing to keep in mind is make sure you have this over the block before you go to install your barb fittings. I still got to install the barbs, which I'm going to be reusing the barb fittings I have already as it is. And also this comes with this nice LED with two LEDs. One goes on one side and the other goes on the other, and it's powered off of a SATA power connection. Makes this whole thing light up really nicely. Matter of fact, let's start the Plexi up and I'll demonstrate it. And just FYI, anytime you have a CPU water block or heatsink that is brand new, make sure you keep the protective film across the bottom of the block. That way you lessen the chances of scratching the mounting base. You wouldn't want that to happen. So, and of course they had a zip tie on there for some reason. Why is that? I don't know. A wire tie would have been nice. Come on now. Good work, XSPC. Good work. So you have this pretty decent size length cable. And we're going to plug it into a SATA power source. And these are very bright LEDs, by the way, too. And the funny thing is like, how are they supposed to be secured into the block? They just slide in, and like you would have to actually secure them yourself with some glue or something. But essentially, this is what you get. It lights up that area around the outside of the block, which looks, I think, pretty cool. And also, they clearly label what side is your input right there. You see XSPC Raystorm Pro. Now for you Intel guys, you guys can actually turn this sideways like that and actually benefit from a little bit of added performance. However, for the AMD folks like me, we're stuck with it like this. I think the difference that they benchmarked online was like, what, 2 degrees Celsius maybe, if even that. But yeah, it's a very interesting block, I have to say. Definitely a lot heavier than the Heat Killer 3.0 LC. There's a whole lot more copper in this than there was in that. On the 3.0 LC, only the bottom of it was actually copper. And the reason why I ordered a new water pump is because the one that was in the MidTower Deluxe was made in, guess what? 2006. Yep. Thermaltake P400 water pump that originally was part of a Big Water 735 liquid cooling system that I got from a parts computer back in 2010. I have no idea how many hours were actually on. I'm going to unplug these LED lights. I have no idea how many hours were actually on the pump when I got it. But you have to figure in that the pump has ran non-stop, pretty much non-stop, from 2010, from early 2010 through the end, almost the end of this year, 2017. That's almost 8 years. That's a lot of runtime. Now, feel free to have a listen to how it sounds in this video clip. This is after I done disassembled the water cooling system off the MidTower Deluxe. Have a listen to this. Okay, so here it is. It's sold from PC Coolings on eBay. This seller has a lot of. They sell a lot of water cooling stuff in here, actually. Some of the stuff I think is pretty decent. The pump itself is $22. DC 12-volt pump for PC water cooling. G-quarter thread. 3-pin connector with black bracket. And you can see that they've been selling quite a bit of them. Anyways, that's a close-up of it. So it's oriented very similar. It's designed about the same as the P400 pump that I have, but it'll fit right onto the reservoir that I have, and the fittings that I have will fit right onto it. Again, like I mentioned, the existing pump works. It's got a lot of hours on it. And I figured it'd be smart to replace it with a brand new one. Now, depending on how long this cable is here, will determine if I can plug it right into the motherboard or not. So yeah, you guys may be wondering, okay, how in the heck is that cable going to have any sort of chance of reaching at all? Well, I've done some thinking, and I'm going to route the hoses and cables a bit differently this time. Safe to say the X-Static 2 case is going to get hurt just a little bit, but it's for the better. Now, of course, you know, with the previous setup, the water lines, yeah, the hoses ran through the back, and cables ran through the back. Not only was it not very tidy, but you also ran the easy risk of knocking into a hose and kinking it, or worse, puncturing it, which would be bad. So yes, my plan here is to tap 2 holes. These holes will be plenty big enough for the tube and for the cables to run through. And I've got some foam insulation, like what they normally use on windows. I got some of that I can easily line these holes with. I was hoping I'd have some grommets, but unfortunately I don't at the time. I could probably find some online, but anyways. What I'm planning on doing is here and here, this area right here and here, drill 2 holes with the hole saw through the top of the MidTower Deluxe's case. That way I can route the cables and hoses through here, because the only thing the hoses go inside the system for are for the CPU. They go inside, go to the CPU block, come back out, and of course you have the hoses. Man, it's hot inside this thing. And you have the hoses and the power supply cables, one for the fans and the other for the water pump that come up through. It'd make more sense to have them going up through here than way back here. And also, I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous video or not. I don't know if I'm going to post it or not, but I had to actually have the radiator serviced. Well, my dad brazed these fittings back in 2010. The bottom one actually had a small leak in it. And for all these years, I had patched up the leak with RTV sealant. And of course, when I pulled the hose off, you could see where that leak had still been there, but water was not getting out or anything, but it needed to be fixed right. So he rebrazed the fitting, and what I'm going to do now is I have to actually do elbows, and perhaps I should ask him to put elbows on these, I don't know, but I can actually do this right here. Just have a small amount of tubing come out and then put an elbow fitting here. I may do it for both of them. So essentially, the reservoir is going to be up front. Rod pump's going to be right behind it, and the access holes are going to be right here. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about when I get done with the modification. But yeah, it's gonna be a little different, I have to say. I think it's gonna be a little better. Hopefully, it should use less tubing and hopefully a little bit less coolant to fill the system. Speaking of coolants, here's the coolant I'm using. I meant to show this to you earlier. It is the Primo Chill Clear PC Ice Low Conductive Performance Fluid. And of course, it's available with intensifier dyes where you could actually color it however you liked. See, the thing is with the Fluid XP Plus, it had that dye in it, and it stained up every freaking thing I had. For example, look at this tube. See, it's stained up? And this tube is actually in good shape. It's pretty well pliable. Not too stiff, not too easy to bend. For example, over in that bag is some brand new tubing from Lowe's. It's the same tubing I used years ago to build this system. It's just your typical Watts brand tubing. I forget exactly how much this runs for at Lowe's. However, you can look it up on their website if you really want to. Lowe's or Home Depot, whichever is closer to you, really. You have to say that some people are like, you should not buy the stuff from Lowe's and use it in your system. You should buy the stuff online. The premium tubing, all that good stuff. Let me be honest with you. I've been using this stuff for years, and it's still perfectly fine. I never changed the coolant, actually. I ran it with the same coolant for all these years. Do I recommend that? Not necessarily, but, yeah. This is the brand new tubing. And I should have plenty. I'll probably have some left over. I do remember having a little bit left over last time. So that's the tubing. And a couple more things I need to mention are with the drives on the front. Now, of course, you see the floppy disk drive. The new MidTower Deluxe will have a floppy disk drive. How is that possible? Well, on eBay, I actually bought one of those adapters. I have to go back and find it. Comes out of Hong Kong. You know, this little guy right there. 34 pin 1.44 megabyte floppy connector to USB adapter cable. It supplies both power and data to the floppy disk drive from your USB cable. Now, why do they have an external cable on this thing? I have no freaking idea. But I do have a piece of crap card reader in there that will be donating its internal USB connector cable. And what I'll do, I'll just resolder it onto this board, and there we go. We have an internal floppy controller. So, although I seldomly use the floppy disk drive, I think it'd just be one of those weird things about the MidTower Deluxe. They have this brand new Ryzen 7 platform, but still support an internal floppy disk drive. Because honestly, I wasn't looking forward to having to dig out the Dremel and trying to cut that floppy disk thing out of this front bezel. Yeah, the trouble is I go through to keep this whole case up and running. Really, look at it. Just have a look at it. I've added in the temperature readout. I've added in those extra USB cables and firewire port, which the firewire will be getting retired. I replaced the built-in audio and mic jacks and USB jacks with USB 3.0 and HD audio respectively. And there's other things that you may not see yet. Matter of fact, I'll show you on this side over here. I made this giant hole to help this thing ventilate easier, draw in air to cool the hard drives. Now, of course, here I do have two 80mm fans running off the 5-volt supply to gently put a breeze of air across the hard drives. When you have 4 hard drives in a computer, the heat adds up pretty quickly. And since this machine did not have an extra 2.5, well, no, it's hard to, not 2.5 inch. Well, it don't have a 2.5 inch bay, but since it didn't have an extra 3.5 inch bay, I just hot glued the SSD right here on top of this lip for this 5.25 inch bay that will not be used for anything. And also, let's not forget about the side panel, which is way over here. Sitting there in front of the PTO elevator panel. And of course, we know the codec ZI6 freaking does not like low light conditions. And of course, the side panel, that's not the original side panel to the MidTower Deluxe either. The original one is actually still out in the shed. I still have it with the X theme on it. This side panel here came off of a different case, but this happened to have the exact same latching, the exact same notches on the inside to fit the current case. And I just went to Lowe's, bought a big plexiglass sheet that's actually a better quality than the one that came with the original case, and actually went through 2 or 3 of these things before I managed to finally cut a hole for the fan to mount that 120mm fan where it is now, to also aid in ventilation, but also allow you to see inside the case a lot better than with the original side panel. And of course, let's not forget about the CD and DVD drive, the DVD-ROM and the DVD burner. As you may have seen already, those run on IDE interface, so I'm having to replace those. I didn't, however, need to buy brand new ones because I already have these drives on hand. Now, the tricky thing about this is these E-Machines faceplates that have been part of the MidTower Deluxe since it was built back in 2007. I want to be able to keep those. And usually, provided the drives are the same brand or similar brand, you can actually transfer those over. So hopefully that will work out as planned. Otherwise, MidTower Deluxe won't look the same. I have to tell you, it wouldn't look the same. That's for sure. Okay, well, the pump has arrived today. So, we're going to do an unboxing of it, which is just simply pull it out of the bag. Because it didn't have its own box. Anyways, this is it. This is it here. It is an SC600. Got Chinese all over it. People online have actually said good things about this particular pump. We'll know for sure how it runs when we get it installed. It has this 3-pin connector, which looks like it should reach the motherboard. So I'm pretty impressed there. Should be able to reach the motherboard through the new access hole I made for the hoses and whatnot. So yeah, guys, the adventure's going to begin this weekend. Going to be upgrading the MidTower Deluxe. It's going to be quite interesting, I have to say. I don't know if I'm going to get all of it on video. I don't know if I'm going to shoot video of me doing the hardware install. Considering how expensive this stuff is, I'm going to probably just do away with video of actually installing the hardware. I'd rather just focus 100% on actually doing the work and upgrading the machine, and then doing video later. Anyways, it's that time. The MidTower Deluxe is getting upgraded. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, thanks for watching. Hey everybody, I sure hope you guys enjoyed this video from Q Computer Channel. Remember to like the video, subscribe to Q Computer Channel for more updates, and remember to tick the bell so that you actually get notified of these updates. Did you know that I am also on a second channel that's CubeComp MTDX? Over there you'll find videos of bicycling, weather, elevators, and all sorts of other neat and interesting stuff. Feel free to subscribe to that channel as well. And again, I thank you for your support, and thanks for watching this video.